Welcome back, everyone. This is the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. I am down to the last sections of the restoration of the Singer 301A. And some of you may recall, if you saw when I first got this machine, I bought it, I tested it, and did not think to look underneath the foot pedal. And of course it was cracked. I've removed the 3 screws that were holding it together, and of course as soon as I did, it came apart as I expected. Again, I will not be gluing this. Foot pedals they need to be strong and hardy because they have a very important function, and there's just no real purpose in trying to repair this because the chance of it coming apart could be greater. Remember, foot pedals get moved around a lot. They get put on the floor, put in different places. They get put under some stress, and so there are too many of these really wonderful old foot pedals that can be overhauled. These are the only vintage pedals I ever overhaul, but for this one I've taken a couple of screws here off of the top where the wires were, and I'm just going to be basically I'll hold on to this in case there are any parts I need off of it in the future. It looks like whoever had it must have dropped it at some point, although they were fortunate that the porcelain housing did not crack, but the rest of it did. And so this is one of the few times you'll see me not overhaul or repurpose something. But look, we still have the cover, which is, again, awesome. We have the button. So this piece, these 3 screws, these screws, and probably this housing I will hold on to, and I will use it maybe for a future. Maybe I'll have a foot pedal where this part is damaged in some way, but the rest of it's good. So I keep parts like this. Here's a capacitor that was put on when people got televisions and radios in their homes. Television particularly, if someone was trying to sew while someone else was watching television, what would often happen is that there would be interference because of the way the sewing machine was pulling electricity into the house. Remember also that homes had much smaller electrical boxes back in the day, and so these capacitors would be sometimes installed in order to reduce any television interference. It's hard to imagine a time when everything was analog, but anyway, this is no longer needed. I have no idea whether it works. I won't be keeping that, but it's kind of a little time capsule into the past and how we had to how people once lived. They were watching television and sewing on a regular basis. So there you go, guys. I am holding on to this particular pedal, and of course you can see I've saved parts in the past. There are some buttons to these pedals in here, feet, screws, and I hold on to them. You can get replacement screws and feet for these. There were so many of these button style pedals made by Singer that it's one of the only vintage, it may be the only vintage foot pedal that you can get replacement parts for. Can you believe it? But anyway, I am trying to decide. I'm either going to take one of my I keep foot pedals like this for, sometimes I have customers who want an electronic, newer generic foot pedal on their vintage machine. And so I hold on to the button styles in case I have a customer who prefers one of those. So we'll see. I haven't decided yet. I may end up seeing if I have a spare foot pedal, and I may keep that with the 301 because the 301 is particularly coveted by people who love the historic nature of those machines. But the customer can decide. I can always put either one. Either one can be hooked up to the to a vintage machine, and so we'll see. But either way, we just need to get a new foot pedal. The cord itself is in great shape, so I'll be wiring that up to the foot pedal, and hopefully after that we will be getting a test sewing of the 301 after all of the restoration procedures I have been showing you. If any of you have been following all of these videos, I appreciate it. You have a lot of patience. I don't know what takes more patience, restoring sewing machines or watching the video of somebody's restoring a machine. But anyway, it's a labor of love, obviously, and if you're going to do this, do it the right way. If you take your time, you go slow, make it a relaxing thing. It can be a lot of, it can be very satisfactory to to know that you've brought this something amazing from the past. You've brought it up to where it now can function normally again, or function optimally again, I should say. So anyway, guys, just a little update there on the foot pedal of the 301. As I suspected early on, it was one of the first videos I showed you all on this machine. I did not think it would be salvageable, and it is not. I can salvage parts, but I'm not going to try to salvage the pedal. Millions of these pedals were made. They are not in short supply. If you want an original button foot pedal and you want to have it serviced or use it, you shouldn't have a problem finding one. They're not rare. And again, for me to try to use any kind of glue or epoxy, I'm just not going to do that. Foot pedals, they take a little more stress than other parts of a machine, and I'm just not willing to do that. It's not necessary, and there's really no purpose in it. It would simply come apart again, and that's not something you want to have with your foot pedal. So there you go, guys. There's a time when it's time to say goodbye to an original piece of equipment, and this is one of them. Fortunately, that rarely happens. So I appreciate you guys watching. Just another little update on the foot pedal saga of the 301, but we will get it remedied and soon have the 301 ready to fly once again. Thanks for watching, everyone.